What's up, Japanime fanimes? Welcome to We Are Boomers, the only vintage anime podcast from us at Gig Boots. I'm your host, Japanime Danime, and with me is Bob.
I've never been wrong about anything in my entire life.
From Gig Boots, Chris Wolfhard.
Y'all like Super Jail?
And Dr. Agro.
All anime after I graduated high school is shit.
And that's right, we're here to talk about Dead Leaves, the production IG Imaitunes. Is that what the credits said? Like Imaishi Corporation's,
I guess.
he's calling himself Imaitunes?
Maybe that was like his YouTuber name. Or Newgrounds name. I don't know.
Like, I think he was still working with Gainax at the time, and they didn't, like, Gainax wasn't working with them, so he needed, like, an LLC to put on the paper.
Interesting. Yeah, he jumped around a decent bit back then. He's like, I do an episode of Fooly Cooly here and an ED there, and I work on the Parappa the Rapper anime and make Dan remember that exists.
Yeah, Imaishi did a bunch of shit.
Yeah, he did.
A lot of episode direction, a lot of storyboarding, a lot of principal animation.
So, I know, I hear you, Zoomer. I hear you. You're already typing in the comment section. I don't know what Dead Leaves is. Why do I care? Well, have you ever heard of Promare? No? Oh, shit. Kill la Kill?
Cyberpunk?
You ever hear of Rebecca Edgerunners?
Right?
Okay, there we go. We got him with that one. That's, same director.
Well,
That's, you can tell.
yeah.
You literally cannot watch this and be like, oh, that's made by the same people. Wow.
I would never have guessed.
I would never have guessed. It's just, this is a 50-minute, which is including the credits,
Right?
cracked out OVA from hell that doesn't stop for a single second to breathe.
Yeah, this is Imaishi just pure on the mirror, cut down, and up your nose.
Yeah, it is. Man, there's all sorts of things they cut back on later productions. There's lots of fucking and shitting and killing. It's got everything you would want from anime.
Well, generally you'd like stories to be comprehensible,
Right?
so they had to dial back some of those other things to get to the point where things were comprehensible.
That's a shame. It's a shame. This anime was made in 2003, just barely released in 2004, which means, as far as this committee is concerned, this is a 2003 anime and thus 20 years old. That is the rule. By the way, that's a little confusing for me to digest because, of course, the definitive way to watch Dead Leaves, as far as I can tell, UMD or Universal Media Disc
My favorite.
on your PlayStation Portable. Why doesn't the PlayStation Portal support UMD?
I don't know. Come on.
That would be so unreal.
I don't remember if I actually owned Dead Leaves on UMD, or just if someone said that about me, I'd believe it.
I think Xeon owns it on UMD. At very least, a coworker of mine at CVS
That's probably
a billion years ago owned it on UMD as well. So it just has a strong association there.
I remember being like the only anime on DVD or on UMD other than Cowboy Bebop that I saw.
Yeah, Bob, we're not talking about unimportant formats like DVD. We're talking about UMD, baby.
Yeah, who still watches things on DVD? Now it's all streaming, Blu-ray, or UMD. I was surprised the PS5 had a UMD reader included. They really went above and beyond to ensure the format continued living.
Well, it's the only way they could accurately do the PSP back compat for every game on the console.
Holy shit.
I can't believe that James Cameron announced every Avatar movie would be released on UMD because it is an objectively perfect format.
These are just facts.
I mean-
Cameron's spitting.
It has all the attachments for the 3D goggles that work with your PSP, so obviously.
Right. Kind of like
I will
strapped
consider
to
the
your face.
entire retro gaming hardware community bullshit until my Android phone has a plug-and-play UMD reader.
Understandable. It's too bad they never released that. Like they released the external memory card adapter for PS3. That would have been really cool.
That would have Jesus.
But I guess we're supposed to talk about Dead Leaves. Not just the experience, not just the point in culture, but also literally what is this? But before we do that, hey, Bob.
Hey, what's up?
I know we said a billion times this is made by Imaishi.
Uh-huh.
Do we have any other interesting tidbits, production staff-wise?
Not really. It's Production IG.
Okay,
And,
well, there we go.
That's kind of it. Like,
It's actually the second Production IG in-house film. The first one they made was Blood the Last Vampire, which is absolute whiplash moving from that to this.
what? But Production ID's been around forever. That can't be right.
No, they've worked on a bunch of stuff, but just them making a film by themselves.
Oh, okay. Like there's no other support people.
Yeah. Blood the Last Vampire was their first in-house film, and this was their second.
Weird.
Mhm.
All right.
Like, they usually worked with Gainax, they worked with other people. They did a lot of support animation.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'd make like that one scene in Kill Bill, but they didn't like make a lot of their own TV shows or movies. Just every now and then they'd crank one of these out, and this was just Imaishi parachuting in. Hey, I need everybody who can draw. I'm gonna make a weird fucking thing.
I'm so glad that we finally done content on a good Production IG thing instead of FLCL Progressive and Alternative or Mass Effect Paragon Lost.
Uh,
Oh, God, that was them, too. Oh, man, that's depressing.
right.
I mean, we also did regular FLCL.
Right, but that wasn't Production IG. That was Gainax.
Yeah, they helped on it.
Yeah, IG worked on it.
In that sense, we've probably done Production IG a few other times, too.
Right.
Just in the credits. Interesting thing here. I can't trust Wikipedia on this, but Wikipedia is like, Imaitunes is a Japanese artist. His work spans all of these things. He's worked with Hiroyuki Imaishi on Dead Leaves and other things. And I'm like, are you sure it isn't just him?
Yeah, right? It's like,
You seem to have no information on this elusive Imaitunes person. But anyways, worth throwing in there. Do you think anyone remembers Gurren Lagann?
yeah, I'm pretty sure people remember Gurren Lagann.
No,
We have to wait-
nobody remembers
We
that.
gotta wait 4 more years before it's Boomer anime.
Right, obviously.
Yeah, so no one
Do
remembers.
we?
it. Yeah, it came out in 07.
How does it have to be 20 years to be Boomer anime? Is that the rule?
I'm putting that down as the rule so that way people truly disintegrate when they try to counter with it's not that old, and I go 20 years.
Okay, that's fair.
Weirdly, I have, like, even this feels too new to me to be Boomer anime.
Really?
Yeah, so it
so
might be because we just came out from Gunbuster, the Boomer anime.
Yeah, that's true. It's almost, oh God, how much of a leap is there? Like, when did Gunbuster come out? Early 90s, right?
I think last episode was 89 or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it might have been 89.
Yeah, so like, you're jumping 15 years there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I said when we did the Gunbuster episode that, like that was Gainax then, and to get all the way to Trigger, something has to happen in the middle. And that thing that happened was Imaishi,
Yeah.
who joined Gainax in like 95, and then bided his time.
Fucking Ava battle music starts as he starts molting.
Right?
Yeah, it's interesting, Imaishi worked on like Karikano and stuff, and you just get to see when you look at Dead Leaves and Fooly Cooly and stuff, and then the future of Trigger and all that stuff. It's just you see the arc now. You definitely see this path.
Yeah, it's also interesting coming from not having seen this back in the day and having seen everything else Imaishi has made. This is literally just a string of every one of those action sequences together.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's bizarre to think, yeah, he basically storyboarded this stuff all 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's like Dead Leaves is my 8 favorite things to happen in a scene.
I was even thinking about how that weird thing where they're like chasing them as they have a pile of bodies going across like a caterpillar almost.
Oh, you're talking about when they're driving the vehicle and all of the prisoners are holding on to form a conga line that becomes a snake tail almost?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's episode 1 of Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
Like, everything is in this.
Uh-huh. It's literally all of it. Yeah, this was my first time watching Dead Leaves as well. How about you guys? Chris, have you seen it before?
Nope.
Aggro, you have to
Oh
have
yeah,
seen it,
I
right?
bought this the year it came out and about wore that DVD out. So watching everything Gainax put out after that, it was like, oh, hey, look, it's that thing they did in Dead Leaves.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's really incredible. As I said, just he drew his 8 favorite things to happen in a scene, and he just revisits this every series, every movie, everything he does.
And it wouldn't be until Panty and Stocking again that we'd get, because I remember when this first came out, the conversation about, at least in America, at least to high school weebs, was this is the weirdest thing ever because it has the design sensibilities of American cartoons with all the cool shit that happens in anime, and it's kind of melting my brain. Especially the color palette. It's a lot darker and bolder than you generally get in anime.
Mm-hmm.
And with clearly with the character designs and a lot of the wacky movement that Trigger would later be known for, it just came out of left field back then.
I didn't really get that as much of that energy from watching it as I did just from the cover art. The cover art back in the day scared me away from this because it looked like designs I didn't like at all, and it just didn't look interesting. But now once you see them animated, it's very different, and it makes sense.
Back then, when I saw the tiniest bits of it, looking at someone's PSP, I'm just like, oh, this just seems incredibly hectic and insane. Okay, I have no strong desire to part with $20 to see that. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it if someone lends it to me. And then I just never looked into it. There's a certain beauty that comes from experience the whole ride from beginning to end to understand how you got to the fucking and sucking scene. That's important. You can't just be dropped down in the middle of that or the drill ejaculating. You can't, do that. You have to arrive there after 30 minutes of violence.
Yeah, I think the closest thing to this sort of style that we got again was Panty and Stocking. Like that was the other thing that's most like this since this.
Yeah, and scenes of cyberpunk.
Yeah, Cyberpunk has a little bit of it, but it's definitely not like...
Well, like, what Cyberpunk has, it's the same thing that shows up in FLCL. A lot of the sensibilities and movement show up in those two things. The way you animate dramatic and fast action, which is, again, Imaishi storyboarding.
I think it's really interesting in Cyberpunk where that's sort of like that super violence is used to emphasize how horrible that world is. And here, it's just like, no, this is just zany goofiness for the sake of it. It also reminds me a lot of his other animation that he did for the Animator Expo that Studio Kara did. That's it. It was called Sex and Violence with Mach Speed.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, it literally that... and Panty and Stocking have the same car chase sequences than this.
Man, I haven't thought of that in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to release all those on Blu-ray. What are they doing? Why are they...
They still haven't?
No, they might have in Japan. Maybe, but I think even there, it's just like, yeah, once in a while we put them up on YouTube for people to watch.
Yeah.
This thing, like Dan said, it's 50 minutes, including the credits. So you know how sometimes you go to remember a movie and you remember a few scenes and you string them together, then you watch the movie, you're like, oh yeah, there's a whole lot more in here. It's a little longer. This is a weird opposite scenario where every time I go back to watch it, separated by years, it's, there's nothing else in this movie. It's all highlight.
Yeah.
This movie is one scene.
This movie is basically one of those fireworks that burns incredibly bright, just burns out immediately. And you're like, it's over?
Yeah, there's like no downtime between any events. It's all just go, 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 go.
Which is pretty incredible. Its pacing is truly nonstop in a way that I think very few other things at the time had accomplished. Because, they might want to have a feature-length film.
They might want to have a feature-length film, or I don't know, a story at all.
It's a story with characters.
This was a moral stance against having either padding or a sensible story.
Right.
Like the scene where they get arrested and shipped to the moon is a masterclass in just skip it and get to the next thing. And then later on, there's a character trying to tell you the backstory. And he's being spoken over by the main character talking.
Yeah, it's really good. It's like this so thoroughly conveys the fiction's own opinion of having to do the story part of itself. Whatever. The main character's not even interested in their backstory. That's not what they're interested in right now, and this person needs to shut the fuck up as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, I think they do something like that 3 times, including the end of the movie.
Yeah.
We're just like, did we learn anything? Was this really about anything? Who cares?
Yeah, this is an example not of style over substance, but the style being the substance. This was like a tech demo for animation.
I really appreciate every time an action sequence will show the same action 10 times in a row for the sake of comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even like, sometimes it's not even an action. So it will be like 3 different shots of a scene. One of them zoomed in on one small guy who's talking. Then there's the wide shot of everyone around him. And it just keeps cutting between them as he's making some weird sound and they're either reacting or not. And it just keeps doing that like 5 times in a row. It's really good. One of the things I really appreciate about this director is he has a really good idea of how to make an action look very, very funny and make the scene approximately 85% shorter than you would normally make it. It's like, yeah, then they ride this conveyor, this chain they're hanging off from the ceiling, and it turns and it goes down this way. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to have that entire shot take 2 seconds, and the next shot is them getting chucked into their room. Like, it's really good. Every scene's basically that energy nonstop of, if you pour water onto this OVA and let it fill, it will grow to the size of a feature-length film, we promise.
Yes.
Freeze-dried anime.
You know exactly which 4 or 5 scenes they'd add to pad the runtime, too. So you don't miss it when they scoop it out.
So the baby.
God.
The whole time they were doing that, I was like, man, if this is what Battle of the Gods had done, who is this the Magic Baby, the Dragon Ball movie? Everyone would love that.
I don't think there was a magic baby in that movie.
I'm trying to remember a magic baby.
Like they had to hold hands and use the power of Vidal's baby.
Yeah, because they needed 5 Saiyans.
Look, Mom, that's not a baby. It's a fetus. It's not even a baby yet.
That movie would have been better if that baby had just, like, reached an arm out of Videl with a Glock.
Yes.
Look, I don't need to think about the Dragon Ball Super manga where Bulma's like, I can't do this thing because I'm pregnant with Bra, and then Beerus teleports the baby out of her, and he's like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
You gave birth.
It's fucked up.
No, we need more of that. That's really weird. That needs to be in canon.
So, guys, were there any scenes you got bored during? You totally had time to do that, right? To just be like, man, this scene's dragging.
I barely had time to comprehend what was happening.
Yeah, that sure is this. That's exactly what this is. You barely have time to get used to them being on a satellite prison planet, the moon, before it's like, we're plugging the hose in your ass. Poop, motherfucker.
Time to poop. I used to straight up watch this thing twice when I'd watch it, because then it's the length of a full-length movie. And, like, you get to look at other stuff in the frame the second time.
Right, because you missed it the first time because each shot is over within a second.
Or it's, on screen 5 times in a row.
There's no in between.
Near the end, they started playing a song for when the Super Baby, it would like show up and they'd play the X-Files theme, at least in my head.
It was pretty X-Files core. That's how you know it's a spooky space baby.
Oh, did you guys watch the dub or the sub?
Dub.
I watched the sub. I always watch things subbed the first time.
So, fun fact about the dub. Pandy's being played by Amanda Winley, which I'm sure you picked up on. Her husband is actually playing Retro.
Oh.
Huh.
And she became pregnant while recording this movie.
So is the baby cursed?
I've never read any follow-up trivia about whether or not she gave birth to an armed child.
Something obviously happened, because wasn't that long after this where she started being high all the time at literally every moment of every day.
The cursed Zoomer baby. Motherfucker's 18 and is listening to this right now going, is this why I am this way?
We're sorry you had to learn this.
Yeah, this is the worst way you could have possibly learned this. I'm so sorry.
Where Bob was talking about the cover art earlier, and it always throws me too because it's got the sword on it with the bone handle because it was that guy's arm.
Yeah.
And it's cool as shit. I love that design. I've always loved that sword. And I keep forgetting it's not a bigger part of this film every time I watch it. Because, like, it shows up and I'm like, yeah, the sword. And then it gets blendered and I'm like, oh, the sword.
I mean, that's true, but most things you could have drawn from this onto the box art would also qualify for that exact relationship emotionally.
Yeah, nothing sticks for very long.
You're just like, yeah, drill dick. Oh, drill dick.
I think one of my favorite scenes in this is when Retro and 666 or 777, whichever one's really big, they start shooting each other with guns after Retro takes over some robot body. Yeah. And it's just them falling to pieces. Literally, it's just parts of them being deleted.
Yeah.
Until Retro's just like, okay, he's dead.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Part of me is like, man, I wish Imaishi could work with like Platinum to make a game.
Holy shit.
It would be so cool to see this unhinged vision executed as a video game. That would be really great.
Yeah, I have to wonder how you even do this in 3D in a video game.
You don't. You don't.
It'd be weird. It'd be really weird.
It'd be one hell of a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Yeah.
So I'd alluded to it earlier, but if you are in that small subset of people who only watch anime because you've seen it on a Weeaboots or a Weeaboomers, live your life in a better manner than that. This is not healthy.
Yeah, you don't wait for us to do a video on it. Go watch all of Dot Hack now.
This is why I was really excited that we were doing Gunbuster and Dead Leaves back to back. Because if you just imagine the guy who made this riding the company that made that.
Right?
That's Trigger. That's what Trigger is. It's amazing. And that's why they saved anime.
Patriotic theme plays here.
It is a little weird how Imaishi just became, at the end, even Gainax, and then that continued into, well, they're also just Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're entirely them.
Yeah, he just waited out all the old heads.
There's still like, I feel like even Trigger itself has two halves. There's the Imaishi side, and then the guy who does the Little Witch Academia and BNA, and I can't remember that guy's name.
Otsuka.
Little Witch, Yo Yoshinari is the director of Little Witch Academia, but those also have a lot of Imaishi DNA. Like, the least Imaishi Trigger things are like the Gridman shit and He's Niver, which I have never known anybody to watch ever. I have no idea if it's good or not. I don't know a single person who's ever watched it.
I watched one episode, and that should probably tell you all you need to know about what I think, at least.
And then the new era will apparently start next year with them doing Delicious in Dungeon. I think that's the first adaptation Trigger's even done. That's interesting. I kind of feel like I didn't get the full effect of seeing this because I saw it after every other Imaishi thing instead of on a bad DVD in 2005.
Yeah, I get that impression too. Like, this is neat, but I think I like almost everything else Imaishi's done more.
Yep, that's where I'm sitting too.
At the same time, though, seeing it back then on a scummy DVD, that might have just put you into system shock. That might have been
Pretty
just too much.
I feel like the default state that all anime should be watched in the first time, at least, is on a small CRT, on a bootleg DVD, played on a PlayStation 2, on someone's patio because their parents don't want a bunch of greasy weeaboos in their home. I've watched many things in that state.
That's pretty much exactly how I saw Blood the Last Vampire.
True.
That's how I got into many different animes. That's how I watched Final Fantasy VII Advent Children for the first time.
Oh my god. I like how you're like the default method of consuming an anime is in an anime club at the anime club owner's mother's house. Separated from civilized society enough on the back patio.
If you don't want to watch anime that way, you don't want it enough to deserve to watch anime. Fucking Crunchyroll, High Dive. You can get anime on fucking Disney Plus now, soulless. If you're not willing to endure horrible suffering to see it. You don't deserve it.
If this is your first episode of Weeaboomers, Boomers, we should let you know now that this is a safe space for gatekeeping in the anime community.
Which, thank God.
We have boomers in the name. You know what you're getting.
No, it's true. That shit's on the tin. You can't pretend. Also, I just told you to go watch all of Hack. That's not a healthy relationship with the viewer.
That's
You do
deranged.
that a lot and at inappropriate moments.
Yeah, not even just Sign, all of it. What's wrong with you?
Look, you will learn on that day.
They're gonna download the OVAs to go along with the games and have no idea what's
They're
happening.
gonna be like, Dan loves this, and I'm gonna be like, what did you watch? God, like the PSP game. They're gonna find some parallel media to the PSP game. They're reading the manga for the PSP game, and
I
I'm
was
just
talking
like,
about
what are you doing?
the episode that came was like the PS2 game.
Yeah, I know about that. But
Okay.
this is just I'm thinking about the most deranged this could get. Dan, this scanlation isn't very good. What the fuck are you reading?
I don't want to think about what official manga there is for Dot Hack. That has to be a nightmare.
Yeah, they eventually stop even looking like Dot Hack, but that's a conversation for a different podcast.
Right now we have to talk about this thing, which is a bunch of cool animation and literally no story to talk of.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I watched this for the first time right before we started recording for today. I'm like, how the fuck do you talk about this? What?
You talk about how it makes you feel because describing the action
Confused.
on screen so hard. Yeah, confused is correct. Yeah. They're like, okay, time to shit. And I'm like, metaphorically, right?
No, you didn't watch Panty and Stocking, did you?
No, I didn't. It's still saran wrapped right there.
I guess what? Well, no, it's not old enough to be
No, it's
Weeaboomers.
not old
Damn.
enough. It's not 20 years. That thing came out like what? 08? One moment.
I think 10. I think it was 2010.
Oh, it is 2010. Man, we got a lot more years before that could be.
It feels so much longer ago. I mean, it's still already 13 years.
I'm here to announce our new show, We Millennials.
We as Zoomers?
No, it's too old for We Zoomers.
I hope someone aged to dust upon hearing that.
Hey, Kill la Kill will be 10 years old in a month.
And We Are Millennials is pretty good. We need some not good soundtrack for that one's intro.
Just play some fucking random soundtrack from the fucking Bleach anime, the filler soundtrack.
Yeah. Let's get some ska. I had a terrible feedback loop back when this movie first came out because, once again, talking about the sick-ass sword with a bone handle, my brother at the time had a problem with his brain where he would watch the first couple seasons of Aqua Teen Hunger Force on DVD instead of consuming any other media.
I remember that.
So, every now and then I'd either be walking by or sitting down watching it with him, and we'd get to the episode with the Universal Ramonster, who can only be killed by stabbing him in the heart with the ancient bone saber of Zumakalis. And I'd think, bone saber, and then I'd go watch Dead Leaves again.
I'd like to clarify to the audience, I am not related to Dr. Aggro. That wasn't me.
Yeah, I could see how that'd get confusing given that you don't shut the fuck up about Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I do think it's very funny how that guy's dick is just a drill from Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
Like it's
Uh-huh.
it's identical. And he has, okay, I guess technically it's a drill from Gal Geiger.
Watching Dead Leaves, now you have a moral high ground to actually call Gurren Lagann subtle in its theming and use of imagery.
No, I'm sorry. The official line is to be pointlessly angry at Gurren Lagann because you're weirdly defensive about having watched the things that inspired it and mad at people who only watched Gurren Lagann.
Oh my god.
It's derivative. I don't know what fucking inspiration means, despite being a fan of Gynex.
Yeah.
You know how you said that this might be your least favorite Imaishi thing?
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and throw this grenade in here. Gurren Lagann's my least favorite Imaishi thing.
Yeah, I also need to clarify that was I need to rewatch Panty and Stocking because this and that are super on the same wavelength that I don't like much.
Yeah.
So they probably are tied.
It's the piss and shit, isn't it?
There is a lot of that, yeah.
I like Panty and Stocking more because it has hot women in it. I'm sorry. I'm shallow. That will 100% elevate something like 8 points.
But that'll do it.
That's fair. It has way cooler designs.
If you do vulgar anime slapstick with attractive women, it is better than vulgar anime slapstick without attractive women. That's just how it works.
This is an advanced formula that I'm not sure I can keep up with.
Also, every episode of Panty and Stocking ends with them blowing up a live action prop of the monster for that episode.
Yeah.
So that's patently better.
That was really
Oh,
good.
man.
Yeah. See, that's why part of me is like, I watched a little bit of Panty and Stocking and a little bit of Gurren Lagann. I think I would like Panty and Stocking more, but then I'm terrified one episode will be, you know, the author's barely disguised fetish and the worst.
It's
and
the
it will
episode
Oh, that's
scar
every
me.
episode. That's every single episode.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but I haven't
That's
hit one
also
that's
Dead
just
Leaves, just so you know.
hunting. Oh, yeah. Well, but none of them have left me scarred and like less whole than I was before watching it, at least as far as I made it. So I feel terrified to watch all of it.
Right. Like you can say Dead Leaves is his fetishes writ large on the page, but there's a signal to noise ratio problem that shields you from that
Right.
experience.
Yeah.
Hiroyuki Amaishi's fetish is Rin from Ren and Stimpy fucking cutie honey. That's the energy of all of his work.
Look, just because that's 100% factually correct
Oh, man.
doesn't mean saying it out loud is appropriate.
That is not okay. Yeah. Jesus.
Well, we need to wrap this up because in no world do I want this podcast to be longer than the thing it's based on.
God, he worked on Cutie Honey. There's no way he hasn't drawn that. There's a notebook out there.
Gentlemen, we're gonna go ahead and go around and ask if you would recommend this anime. Bob, would you recommend people watch Dead Leaves?
Yes. Though I don't like it as much as basically anything else we've done for this show. I think it's a really interesting and definitely a formative work that you should see.
Chris Wolfhard.
Sure, I guess. I'm not as strong a recommendation, but at least it's good. I'm always a fan of knowing where things came from.
Dr. Agro.
Yeah, this episode exists because I just need more people to have seen Dead Leaves. It is not only historically important for understanding the broader arc of anime, but there's a guy who's, I don't know if we made this clear, whose dick is literally a golden drill.
Yep. I'm also going to recommend this. I feel pretty strongly that people should watch this. It's really funny and it's only like 50 minutes. So, and really, I swear to God, like 4 or 5 of those are the credits. Yeah. It's barely longer than 2 episodes of most anime. You should check it out. It's pretty cool. Oh, that's going to do it for this time on Weeaboo Boomers. I don't think we're calling our shot for next time, are we? 1 second. Let me just type in, how old is Excel Saga?
Oh no.
Oh.
We're getting there.
Oh, yeah.
We mentioned Cutie Honey. We could always do that.
It's true. That also just hit on Blu-ray.
Or we could do Magical Shopping Arcade of Binobashi, which I again have never seen.
Aren't they doing a live action version of Doom Megalopolis?
God, will you shut up about Doom Megalopolis? The executive producers for this Gigboots video are Esme, Ely Broyles, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, A Reminder for Symphony of War, Cooper Tank, Very Best Plot, Iconic Bane, and Rado. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these guys. If you want to become an executive producer or normal patron, head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.